All right, so we're trying out some new things. We're tonight we want to take a look at Kick versus Twitch. So Kick reaches new milestone amid Twitch's ongoing viewership slump. This is July 12th. Twitch's grip on the live streaming world continues to loosen as upstart competitor Kick celebrates a major breakthrough in Q2 2025, crossing the 1 billion hours watched mark for the first time. The platform, which debuted in late 2022 with a bold promise to rival Twitch, has steadily gained traction thanks to a high payout and looser content restrictions. When Kick entered the streaming scene, many saw it in a short term stunt that would crash and burn like Mixer, but the stake backed platform quickly flipped the narrative by making some aggressive, calculated moves like locking down big name streamers from rival sites. And that alone drew a lot of attention. What really stirred things up, though, was the massive money thrown into the deals. XQC's $100 million Kick contract stood out and shook up the entire industry for a while. So now those high stakes bets from Kicks appear to be paying off. In the second quarter of this year, Kick crossed a major milestone by hitting a billion hours watched in a single quarter for the first time. Data from Stream Charts shows the platform's viewership climbing 28% since the beginning of the year. That growth helped Kick regain 3.74% of the streaming market only in Q2. Meanwhile, Twitch keeps slipping as the Amazon owned service has posted drops in the key numbers for 3 quarters straight, with another 0.9% loss in the market shares recently. And Stream Charts identifies Twitch's multi-streaming policy change as a major factor. Allowing creators to go live on multiple platforms at once has chipped away at the exclusivity and sped up its decline. Kick co founder addressed the platform's recent momentum and looked back at how it all started. He pointed out how Twitch banned his co founder, Ed Craven, and cut creator revenue shares, which helped fuel the creation of Kick. At the time, critics dismissed the idea and said Kick could never rival Twitch. Now that Kick has passed 25% market share for the first time, it's clear that space is shifting fast. And this one goes back a couple of weeks when Asmongold revealed his earnings on Kick and compared them to Twitch. And this is from, let's see, this is from July 9th. This is a little bit older, but Asmongold reveals a surprisingly disparity in revenue between Twitch and Kick. So the streaming landscape is changing, and Zach Asmongold Hoyt just sparked the conversation by revealing how much he earns on Twitch versus Kick. The popular content creator known for his straightforward style live streamed the revenue we made on both platforms over the last month, and the comparison surprised everyone. On Twitch, where he streamed more than 166 hours and had more than 11,200 active subscribers, Asmongold generated around $31,000, not an insignificant figure. However, on Kick, with only 888 subscribers and much less airtime, it earned no less than, are you ready for this? $294,000. The difference is so great that it seems unreal. So almost 10 times more income with less effort and less audience. And I think Kick Clips played a little click of him here. I'll play it. Just a little bit of it. Oh, it's not going to work now. It was working earlier. I went through this whole thing earlier. It was flawless. Just do a little refresh there. Yeah.
I've made $32,000 this month on Twitch. Now we're going to look at Kick. And let me make sure
All right, so this is Asmongold commenting on his Twitch income versus his Kick income.
Not used to looking at this page, so I want to make sure there's nothing that's, problematic to show here.
So, yeah. So, in a nutshell, as I think it skipped ahead here. So, he talks about how all of the time, all of the views that he has on Twitch, and then he compares it to only two streams. Yeah, the feed's not working now. He made far more. So this is not the first time Asmongold praised Kick. In June, he revealed that two streams on the platform earned him $36,000. That's more than an entire month on Twitch. So where are we at on the streaming platforms right now? So YouTube still is the big dog. VTubers on YouTube accounted for 53% of total VTubers in the past 12 months. And then Twitch is down there at 46.5%. And of course, you have Kick, which is 1.3%, but gaining market share. That was in Q1. So, again, according to this article, Kick has gone up substantially in a really short period of time. That's incredible. Incredible growth over at Kick. Yeah. So, again, in Q2, Kick crossed a major milestone, hitting a billion watched hours in a single quarter for the first time. Data from StreamChart shows the platform's viewership climbed, yes, 28.1% since the beginning of the year. So we'll see how that plays out. Kick versus Twitch. And we're trying out, let me see here. I'm just going to write something in the chat because I'm trying this out on Restream on multiple platforms at the same time. Yeah, so not even sure I have the chat set up correctly yet, so I'll come back to that. All right, next, a lot of people asking about the Meta Quest 4. Is Meta going to continue with the Quest? We know Meta took kind of a bath on the metaverse. Did not turn out to be what they thought it was going to be at all. Lost billions on the metaverse. So people concerned that they're not going to do a Meta Quest 4. So this is from Tom's Guide, and this is just came out today. New Meta prototype headsets combine Google-like design with ultra-wide VR, and it could be a sneak peek at the Meta Quest 4. And it shows a picture of a guy wearing a prototype that looks like a lot less hardware than the Quest 3 would be on your head. It says it has a massive 180-degree field of view. The Meta Quest 4 may not arrive until 2027. Now, some sites are claiming that Meta's abandoned the Quest 4, but the Meta Quest 4 may not arrive until 2027. But for now, we may have seen a sneak peek of what the next VR headset is heading towards, and it comes with a mighty field of view. Researchers at Meta Reality Labs have revealed VR and MR, which is mixed reality, headset prototypes, offering an ultra wide horizon with a field of view of 180 degrees with goggle like design that hangs over the user's face. This is a huge leap over the Meta Quest 3, which offers around a 100-degree field of view. In the report, the researcher demonstrates that the VR and MR prototype headsets, comparing the view in virtual and mixed reality to those of the Quest 3. So the VR prototype uses high curvature reflective polarizers and a custom optical design to achieve its ultra wide field of view, while mixed reality offers the same field of view but uses different cameras at 60 frames per second. So, video showcases the differences in view between virtual and mixed reality. There's a clear distinction of what's visible, notably the Quest 3 is shown with a circular view, and the prototype's other one is shown with a wider field of view. Hmm. So, as the report points out, let's see. Okay, so here's a hint at MetaQuest 4. So, while the MetaQuest 4 is rumored to be delayed in favor of Meta Celeste smart glasses, The VR and MR headset prototypes may give us an inkling of what to expect in next gen devices. Rumors, where are we at there? Yes. Rumors of a Quest 4 VR goggle have been rumbling, as per report from Bloomberg's Mark Gurman. And with these prototypes resembling more of a Google like design, goggle like design, this may be what Meta is heading towards. Plus, with this jumping in horizontal FOV, field of view, allows for further immersion into VR and mixed reality, and this could be a key upgrade for the upcoming VR headset. Still, this is only a prototype, and it's unclear whether Meta will ultimately incorporate something like this into its plans. It will be interesting to see what type of upgrades the rumored Meta Quest 4 will arrive with, but if it's broader field of view, that's certainly welcome. So, in VR, I've long argued that the more pick up and play VR is, the more successful it's going to be. I think this is why, to a large extent, the PSVR 2 a lot more detailed to put that thing on and start gaming than say putting a Quest 3 headset on. I own both headsets, and we often compare it like the PSVR 2 headset, although it's a very good headset. There's a lot to putting it on, and there's no immediate pass through. You've got to find a button on the headset that lets you, have the cameras to see what's going on in front of you. The controllers are. I've had a lot of problems with the controllers. But in the Quest, I just put that thing on. It's so much more pick up and play. I still think like if you really want to sell VR and keep VR around, the mixed reality games that Quest offers are a lot of fun. And I also think that the Quest pick up and play again, something that really is going to help. And let's see, we also have Kevin Feige. This is from Variety. Kevin Feige on Marvel Studios' future, focusing on lower budgets, less TV, and more Robert Downey Jr. Look at Superman. It's clearly not superhero fatigue. All right, this came out yesterday on Variety. And again, it's interesting. I watched an interview on Inside of You, which was a podcast, and Gunn was on it, and they were asking James Gunn, "Is superhero fatigue real?" Well, he's just taken over DC Studios, so I think he's no, it's not real. And so Kevin Feige on this on Marvel Studios, yeah, is clearly not superhero fatigue. So he's saying the Superman success. I go over to Box Office Mojo. Box Office Mojo shows Superman right now. Let's see, 235,000 domestic, 171,000 internationally. Worldwide, Superman is at $406 million. Some would say that's not bad. Uh, on opening day, she opened up at 56 million, 37 million on Saturday, and 31 on Sunday. And then this past weekend, Friday came in at 16 million, Saturday at 23 million, and Sunday at 17. I've always thought this movie is gonna do. I'm not phenomenal, but I figured that James Gunn would probably put together a movie that was going to draw enough families and kids to it. And I think they're going more for the families and kids approach with Crypto the dog and some of the James Gunn comedy that he puts in there. I'm not saying that's true to the Superman character or the comics. I think that's just what Gunn is, going for with Marvel. Guardians of the Galaxy type of approach. So Kevin Feige. Mm-hmm. Kevin Feige was teasing a small group of journalists, including from Variety, while sitting at one end of the most storied conference rooms in Hollywood, in the heart of Marvel studio offices on the Disney lot in Burbank. He was there to talk about the past, present, and future of the studio he's led since Robert Downey Jr. declared himself to be an Iron Man in 2008. I remember that. That was oof, almost 20 years ago when we came out with the first Iron Man movie. and I believe that was Paramount at that time. It was before Disney acquired the rights to Marvel, all the rights to Marvel. So after Marvel's communications chief, Angela Shaw, brought Feige into the room, he gestured to the opposite wall, covered with shutter doors that are secured with a padlock. Behind them, he explained with a smile, are the plans for the next 7 years of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. It's traditionally a 5 year plan, he said. I think it goes to 2032 right now. Though it hasn't been quite 7 years since he last did this, it's still rare that Feige gives an interview of this length in candor. But after some ice breaking small talk in which Marvel's chief creative officer shared his thoughts on DC Studios' Superman, more on that in a bit, Feige made clear why he's spending this Friday, before the premiere of the Fantastic Four First Steps, the 37th film and 54th title overall in the MCU, speaking on the record. I just want to say that part again. So, Fantastic Four First Steps, I don't know how many are planning to go see it. Uh, that is the 54th title in the MCU. 54 films, and it hasn't quite been 20 years yet. Whew. We produced 50 hours of stories between 2007 and 2019, Feige said, but in the 6 years since Avengers Endgame concluded the Infinity Saga, we've had well over 100 hours of stories in half the time. That's too much. In fact, including animation, Marvel's multiverse saga spans 127 hours of content. So my feelings are they haven't done a lot since Endgame. I think they had a great lead up with the whole Infinity Saga, and then they hit Endgame, and then it's almost like they didn't have a game plan after that, and they've had just it seems like a series of misses. And yeah, so yeah. After Endgame, Feige said the company entered into a period of experimentation and evolution of the kinds of movies it was making, leading to projects like Eternals and Shang-Chi, The Legend of the Ten Rings. I've always thought if you take success and don't experiment with it and don't risk with it, then it's not worth it, he said. What we also ended up focusing on because of Disney Plus was expansion, and it's that expansion that I think led people to say, it used to be fun, but now do I have to know everything about all of these? And that goes to, I think there's kind of a joke in Deadpool and Wolverine where they reference one of the shows. I forget what it was. In Deadpool says something. Oh, from Loki season 3, episode 12. Just this kind of running joke that you now have to do your homework to watch anything on in the Marvel in the MCU. Oh, you can't watch this movie until you watch these 7 backstories on Disney Plus to explain it to you, or you're going to be confused. Consequently, Feige believes the well documented problems Marvel's been facing over the last few years stem from an overabundance of supply, not a sudden drop in demand. Look at Superman, he said, of the hit film, which opened to 125 million domestically and has grossed 407 million globally to date. It's clearly not superhero fatigue, right? Hmm. Well, yeah, I know. I have 406 million worldwide. Not sure. I guess, yeah, that's not horrible, right? I mean, they didn't do very well. Didn't do very well internationally at all. Did a lot better domestically. Hmm. I liked it a lot. Feige added of the DC film. I love you just jump right into it. You don't know who Mr. Terrific is? Duff, you'll figure it out. This is fully fleshed out. This is a fully fleshed out world. As Feige explained, and as Disney CEO Robert Iger has also said more than once, Marvel's dramatic increase in volume spread Marvel far too thin for its relatively small team of executives to keep up with. For the first time ever, quality trumped quality, Feige said. We spent 12 years working on the Infinity Saga, saying that's never going to happen to us. We always had more characters than we could possibly make because we weren't going to make a movie a month. Suddenly, there's a mandate to make more, and we go. Well, we do have more. Starting in 2023, audiences began to sour on Marvel's content on the big and small screen. As Variety reported in June, only 3 of the 22 films in the Infinity Saga grossed less than $500 million worldwide. Since the pandemic, however, 7 out of 13 movies in the MCU have failed to reach that milestone. Viewership for Marvel's streaming shows, meanwhile, has also steadily declined, according to data from Illuminate. Most recently, Thunderbolts, which earned some of the best reviews Marvel's received in years, has only grossed 380 million globally. Let's see, 380. Okay, so Superman has beaten at least Thunderbolts by 20 million. And Thunderbolts, I thought was a very, very good movie, Feige said. Now, I've heard different reviews of it, have not seen it. I've had different reviews where you get this kind of impression from people. They're like, I'm like, how's Thunderbolts? And they're like, eh. I'm like, what do you mean? And they're like, it's not horrible. I'm like, well, is it good? They're like, it's okay. It's not great. You get kind of this middle of the road. Thunderbolts, I thought, was a very, very good movie, Feige said, but nobody knew that title, and many of those characters were from a TV show. Some audiences were still feeling the notion of, I guess I have to have seen those other shows to understand who this is. If you actually saw the movie, that wouldn't be the case, and we can make the movie so that's not the case, but I think we still have to make sure the audience understands that. To that end, Feige spent an hour discussing everything from budgets, TV schedules, and when Marvel greenlights a project to when or if audiences could see Miles Morales, which I think I have another story here that says Sony is saying no on Miles Morales. We'll look into that, but I believe that Sony is saying to Marvel, we're not doing a Miles Morales movie. So audiences could see Miles Morales, Miss Marvel, or Charlize Theron again. He also provided an update on the status of Blade and confirmed widespread fan speculation that 2027's Avengers Secret Wars will not only conclude the multiverse saga, but provide a reset for the entire MCU, including a new cast for the X-Men films. And there's going to be a lot less TV. While Marvel's feature output is slowing down to at most 3 films a year, a pace the MCU first reached in 2017, its TV output is cooling off even further with just a single live action show per year. And the shows they do make will have far less overlap with the feature films to disabuse audiences from the expectation that they have to watch everything to follow, everything that's happening in the MCU. By the way of example, Feige cited the Marvel TV shows of the 2010s like Daredevil, Jessica Jones on Netflix, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., Agent Carter on ABC, which were produced by a separate now defunct division of Marvel. And they all had let's see, and I think allowing a TV show to be to be I think allowing a TV show to be a TV show is what we're returning to. Asked if the events at the end of Thunderbolts, all right, some spoilers here, so if you want to see Fantastic Four, don't listen for a second, I guess. Asked at the events at the end of Thunderbolts, when most of the population of Manhattan was enveloped in an inky black shroud of depressive nothingness, would affect season 2 of the New York series based Disney Plus series Daredevil Born Again, Feige had a simpler answer: no. And let's see. So we're going to keep going here. It really goes on a while. Hmm. All right. So Marvel, South Park did a great um, discussion. South Park did a great special called The Streaming Wars, which illustrates how when you have a streaming service, and I don't think any of the streaming services thought about this. When you have a streaming service in the South Park episode, the kids are hired to make these little boats to float down the stream, and then other people hire them to make little boats to float down the stream, and then the cost of hiring them, and then there's not enough boats to send down the stream, and it's such a great metaphor for the whole streaming model. Is I think everyone's rethinking the streaming model a little bit. In the beginning, everyone was, well, we got to create as much content as we can and send it down the stream. And yeah, well, I think this is proof Disney's lost a lot of money on some of these things they've done, including under Star Wars, like the Acolyte. They spent an enormous amount on the Acolyte, and that did not do well in viewership. And there's some other specials like Secret Wars, other things they've done that have not made them a ton of money. So sounds like they're walking it back a little bit. Sounds like they're dialing back the streaming a little bit. We'll see how that plays out. I Do you think superhero fatigue is the thing? I kind of do. I These movies have been coming out since 2008, and it's not that you couldn't make a really good superhero movie that's going to draw the fans. You could, but I feel like every Marvel movie I go and see has this kind of cookie cutter stamp, and the plot's always the same. It's the hero's journey. The character comes along, and then he comes up against an enemy that requires him to try his skills out and push himself in ways he never thought possible, and he eventually overcomes and the whole adversity and comes out the wiser for it. And almost every single one seems to be the same and kind of meh, Just I'm trying to think. I really did like Guardians of the Galaxy 3. I thought that was really good, and I probably will watch Superman. I'm not going to go see it in a theater, but I probably would watch it. All right. We'll take a look at some of the wrapped up things that we have coming out. Where else are we? Oh yeah, I know. There was another thing. That was Atari 50, which came out a while ago. They're coming out with a DLC. 3 years later, my favorite retro game collection, this is from Games Radar, is getting fresh DLC complete with the first ever re release of the broken Pac Man port that became the best selling game of the pre Nintendo era. And so that was, here we go, hang on. For those of you who don't know, I think we have a little clip of it.
We had Atari
Yeah.
that we ended up selling to Namco.
All right, so that's Nolan Bushnell, the creator of Atari.
Atari Japan actually put Namco in the video game.
All right, there's Bushnell. Created Atari, sold Atari to Warner Brothers Entertainment. A guy named Ray Kassar took over, and Atari never locked out its cartridges, lost a lot of its good programmers like David Crane and others who left Atari and formed Activision. But Atari at 2600 came out with, everyone was excited because they were going to come out with Pac-Man. Now, this is pre-internet. So you just had to go on the word of maybe one of your friends got it first and you could go check it out at his house. But you were playing the Pac-Man arcade game, and uh, what? What? Well, call her. I'm on doing something right now. Oh, jeez. Hold on, everyone. So, let's just see what this says. This is part of going live. Mhm. Okay, I can't. I'm in the middle of something. So, what do you need? Okay. Sounds like somebody got stopped for a tail light being out. All right. So, anyways, the Atari 2600. Okay. They're very excited about Pac Man, and you're playing Pac Man in the arcade, and you're like, oh, this is going to be awesome. and then you get to see it, and it looks like this. And that was a little disappointing. But they're coming out with more. Let's see what else they got here. Mm-hmm. Dig Dug, that was a big one. Galaga, yeah.
You're watching it, you hear Pac-Man.
All right, so this is what Pac-Man looked like. So imagine you're at the arcade. Pac-Man obviously doesn't look anything like this, and you you get Pac-Man, and you're like, wow, this is really awful. And Atari kind of redeemed themselves with Miss Pac-Man, but I remember you could play this on this old CRT tube. It was not that great. A little disappointing. And this goes to, I believe, Atari. This is also, it's going to be cross-platform, so yeah. That's not enough. Atari enthusiasts out there, the company's announced it's Atari 2600 Pac-Man Edition, featuring a design of the Pac-Man IP with bonus feature and so forth and so on. So if you're, yeah, that'll be coming out soon. And obviously, we've been talking about RoboCop Rogue City. I think this is $29 on Steam right now. I'm not sure what it is on PlayStation. But yeah, looks like a lot of fun. And that's it. So we tried out tonight with some new audio mixing and chat. We're going to see how that worked out. But in the meantime, get out there